What do you get when you combine winged sprint cars, a former Miss Knoxville Nationals, a guy who's most happy with dirt in his beer, and a radio studio no one will use? Winged Nation.
Presented by Hercules Tire.
On MRN.com. Now, here are Steve Post and Kendra Jacob.
Welcome aboard to MRN Wing Nation, presented by Hercules Tire. I'm the guy that likes dirt in my beer. She's the former Miss Knoxville Nationals, and this is the studio that nobody apparently wants to use. But we're glad to be using it.
Hey, I will take the studio gladly.
Because it's our favorite time of the week, talking sprint car racing.
It's our weekly hour of therapy right
yes,
here,
it is. The insane world that we live in.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's insane on this Super Tuesday, that's for sure.
Goodness.
And we're talking sprint car racing, and it is great to have you on board talking sprint car racing with us. And we have got a great show. Brad Sweet, the man, the legend,
sure.
the right now the point leader in the world of outlaw craftsman sprint cars. Greg Hodnet, the man, the lead guy up in Pennsylvania right now, and Pat Sullivan going to join us. Do you know Pat?
I have not personally.
I have not
met
either.
Pat,
I've
so
read his
this'll
stuff
be really
for years.
Interesting.
Read his stuff for years in Sprint Car and Midget magazine and elsewhere, and he's one of these guys that just goes back forever with the sport. Great historical perspective. And like I said, I read his stuff in Sprint Car and Midget magazine, so we're going to talk to him and looking forward to that as well. So really, really cool.
Yeah, good afternoon here.
Yeah, it's been a great show.
Yeah, I guess it is afternoon now.
Yeah,
so
it is. It is afternoon.
Happy afternoon, Steve.
Happy
on
afternoon
this
to
Super
you too.
Tuesday.
Yes, indeed. It is
Let's
super
be
indeed.
super.
Yes, it is. That means turning off television and all social media and internet after about 4 o'clock this afternoon, except for Wing Nation from this studio that nobody wants to use.
Not us.
Yes, exactly. Kendra, I want to talk about a couple things, but the crowd at Cotton Bowl Speedway on Friday night.
What they say was like their biggest crowd ever.
Again, biggest
Ever?
crowd ever. The World of Outlaw Craftsman Sprint Cars, when they roll into town, they are knocking it out of the ballpark. I felt bad for the announcers because they had to keep announcing, and Johnny didn't know much of it, but the regular announcer at Cotton Bowl, there were right-of-way issues on the road, and they were trying to get people moved and vehicles moved. And as much as that's a hassle, that's a good problem to be fighting.
Yes.
You know, so congratulations again to the World of Outlaw Craftsman Sprint Car series that come into town and they just knock it out.
And I love seeing this because everyone wants to talk about, right? Like attendance is down, attention is down.
Not there.
Not in sprint car racing. It's
No.
amazing to see this steady climb of interest in the sport. And I think it's something that everyone should, A, be enjoying.
Yes.
And B, taking advantage of.
And speaking of big crowds, Sunday at Lincoln.
The one shot we got on the Tweet Your Seat of the infield was amazing. I was sitting with some of my NASCAR friends, and I was like, here, check this out, you know, because there was some talk about attendance figures this week, and I was like, here's a sprint car race in, middle of Pennsylvania.
And late February.
Yes, and look at this crowd, like amazing.
Kendra, and honestly, and you and I have chatted a little bit about this earlier in the week as we've talked along the way here. To me, it's almost like issuing a challenge to all tracks out there, okay? Here's the challenge. Do your opening night like Lincoln does theirs.
But what do they do?
I don't know. That's the problem. I know I've talked to Wayne Harper, and Wayne's a great announcer. I love listening to Wayne Harper talk. And I've talked to him. I went up to the York banquet, and Wayne introduces himself. It's like, hey, I'm Wayne. I'm on Lincoln Speedway, 45 days to the opener. But it's this constant countdown in all of their lives. I don't know that they necessarily.
So this is my question. Is it because it's Lincoln? Or is it because everyone's just hungry for racing?
I think it's because everyone's hungry for racing.
Or if it was at Williamsgrove, would the crowd be just as big?
You're in Pennsylvania, but I still think that there's got to be ways for Attica, Fremont, Knoxville, Eldor. I mean, everyone to just if nothing else, look at it and say, my gosh, they're losing their minds 5 days out in Pennsylvania. On Friday, they're losing their minds on Twitter because they're waiting for the decision, is it going to be Saturday or Sunday? I mean, what they have captured up there with their opener is something, and it's not going to be something a track can drop in and do in 1 year, but it's kind of an annual thing where, you know, if I'm sitting here, I'm Rex Laguna, I'm not picking on Rex because, man, what Rex does at Attica is great. But it's like, how do we get that so that Friday night in Attica is just like that Saturday afternoon or Sunday afternoon? And I don't know what the answer is, and I know a lot of it is driven by the passion of the Pennsylvania fans who, bless their hearts, have had 2.5 months without racing. Every other region of the country, you're talking 4 or 5 months, though. I mean, and they've done it on a shorter cycle. But what Lincoln does is amazing to me. And all week long, that's all everyone was talking about. And then when it came time for our Twitter and our Tweet Your Seat, oh my gosh, they blew up our Twitter machine. It's the passion of the Pennsylvania fans, but I still think as a challenge to track operators, how do we look at that opening night as man, trying to make it special like they do in Pennsylvania? And again, I'm not sitting here offering A, B, C, and D. You know, if you're Steve Beitler out there in Skagit, it's not a matter of a quick checklist, but it's a matter of, man, I want what Lincoln has, because those people are ate up. They're nuts on opening night, and what a start to the season.
Yeah, and I would say, I think across the board, Pennsylvania fans take this level of passion and increase
no doubt.
across
That's it.
the
Yes.
board, and that's amazing. And I think every area of the country looks at that and says,
How can we get this? Yeah.
Like what happened there at some point? And I think a lot of it is their guys can beat the Outlaws.
No doubt.
So they do get more fired up, and they do have this like hometown, home crowd pride.
The guy that won at Lincoln Sunday won when the World of Outlaws were in Lincoln last year.
Yep.
Greg Hodnet.
Yep, and I think it is this whole like, this is us, like
no doubt.
We support us.
I know a lot of it stems from the fans, but still, I just think that, man, when I sit back and I just watch this, and I agree, I'm not sure Lincoln really does all that much except for allows it to happen. But as a promoter, as a track operator, how do you engage that to happen at your place? And you may never get to the stage of Lincoln, but man, I'll tell you what, because there's nothing better, Kendra, than opening night at your local track. I remember as a kid, 5 Mile Point Speedway. Oh my gosh. I mean, it was like 2 days before. You thought Christmas was nothing.
Well, my opening day is coming up in
I know.
about
How
44
about that?
days. So
At
I'm
Knoxville.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
When I see
exactly.
the countdown on my level, I'm like,
Okay, yeah.
So,
but I think that's the thing. When you manage it, you're like, okay, are my T's crossed or my I's dotted? And I think when you look at it as a track operator, you've got to look at it one way and be like, phew. But from the fans, it's almost like when you're a track operator, you're going in this direction or you're going in this direction with a to-do list. And it's like, whew, man, I got everything checked off. Thank God, let's let this thing happen. But in the fans, it's going like this. And it's how do you get those to meet? And they do it. I mean, it's like, it's what's going to happen in Knoxville, folks. What's going to happen in Knoxville this year? Just batten down the hatches. It is going to be incredible.
I hope you're right.
What she's got planned out there, I'm telling you what, it's going to make Pennsylvania look like a croquet match.
God.
Wow, I don't know.
That
if I
is
just
a
put
lot
you in a
of
spot.
pressure
Yeah.
right there. That's
It is.
a lot.
It is great, and I'm excited, and it really is. It's going to be a great year across the country. But that opening night stuff is really cool. Hey, let's take a look at our Valco Racing Wheels results page. World of Outlaw Craftsman Sprint Cars, Friday night, Cotton Bowl Speedway. Oh my gosh! Somebody give Darren Pittman a hug. Brad Sweet, the last lap again. Took it off from his teammate Darren Pittman, David Gravel, Joey Saldana, Donnie Schatz, your top 5. Redemption, oh, thank God. I don't even know if I wanted to tune in if we didn't find out Saturday night that at Royal Purpose Speedway, Darren Pittman was able to score the win over Donnie Schatz, Shane Stewart, Brad Sweet, and Jason Johnson. And Pittman, about 5 laps to go. Here's Donnie Schatz. Here's Donnie Schatz getting closer. And I think actually at one point Donnie Schatz led him to the line. I'm not sure he led at the line, but Donnie was alongside and had a wheel ahead. And then all of a sudden Pittman says, oh, no, you don't.
Not happening again.
Not happening again. I'm not getting out and being interviewed from second place. And Darren scored the win. So congratulations, and what a start to KKR. And we'll talk to Brad Sweet about the KKR start in just a little bit.
And you know, Steve, the 2 names in here that I like seeing is that David Gravel in 3rd on Friday and Jason Johnson 5th on Saturday.
Great. Yes, absolutely.
I like seeing the kind of variance we're getting of performance.
We know
here.
Darren's great, Brad's great, Donnie Schatz is great, Shane Stewart, that sort of thing, but it's good to see some of these younger guys or younger teams like Gravel and Jason Johnson's team.
Gravel really upended,
Yes,
and
exactly.
to see them having some success.
Yeah, and
strong out of
Jason's
the
building
gate.
his team, and
Yep.
to be able to build top 5 finishes. Jason Johnson is a team owner. If you start knocking out top 5s on a regular basis, it's only a matter of time
Right.
before you stand in the circle. So Lincoln Speedway, the Icebreaker 30 was Greg Hodnet over Adam Wilton, Brian Monteith. USCS was in Magnolia, Mississippi. Seth Bergman scored the win. 360s were out in Marysville Speedway. Andy Forsberg scored the win. Want to remind or let you know that Andy's going to join us on Wing Nation Weekend, presented by Hefner Racing
Very
Products.
nice.
Looking forward to chatting with Andy later this week. So there you have it. That is the Valco Racing Wheels results page. Valco Racing Wheels, made by racers for racers. More information, www.vahlco.com. We need to step away. When we come back, Brad Sweet, the big cat, joins us here on the show.
This is Winged Nation on MRN.com. We'll be back talking more dirt with Steve and Kendra right after this.
Aggressive Hydraulics, where we engineer the cylinders that move your business. We specialize in crafting hydraulic cylinders and components with superior precision and performance, making OEM products stronger and creating more opportunities for distributors and repair facilities. Crafting cylinders that operate on a global basis in a wide variety of industries and applications. Get aggressive with your cylinder challenges. Aggressive Hydraulics.
Whatever you drive, wherever you go, Hercules Tires will get you there, whether you're running on dirt or running a job. Our dependable, high-quality tires are the perfect fit for your needs. For unmatched value, selection, and warranty with industry-leading road hazard protection, there's only one choice: Hercules Tires. To learn more, visit HerculesTire.com or call 800-677-9535. Hercules Tires, right on our strength.
Live sports are the one true reality entertainment, where a single dramatic moment can become timeless. In NASCAR, Motor Racing Network's live broadcasts elevate your senses to the sights, sounds, and struggles taking place on the racetrack.
Keselowski to the bottom of the racetrack. He tries to slide up. Newman is there. Sideways is Keselowski.
The power of radio to the imagination of the listener. Tune in to the Motor Racing Network. Visit MRN.com for an affiliate list in your local area.
I'm Paul McMahon. Now back to Wing Nation with Steve and Kendra.
Thank you, Paul. Welcome back. It is MRN Wing Nation, presented by Hercules Tire. We're going to go to the Hercules Tire hotline, and on the Classic Ink pole position, well, he's a guy that in 5 races with the World of Outlaw Craftsman Sprint Cars has 3 wins, 5 for 5 with top 5 finishes. Driver of that number 49, Razorback Tools car from KKR, Brad Sweet's on the line. Hello, Brad. Welcome into the show.
Hey guys. Thanks for having me on.
Well, Brad, when you sit down at the beginning of the year and you say, man, I'd like our season to start like this, how does this match up for what you were hoping for?
Well, I mean, yeah, it's a great start for sure. We don't ever think that you're going to be able to start that great, but we've always been good at in Florida, KKR as a whole, and myself at Volusia have always been pretty good there. But it's definitely been a little better than we could have imagined. We obviously hope to start like that, but it's just a lot of hard work goes on in the off season, and you hope that you make all the right decisions, because kind of in sprint car racing, once you unload what you have, it's kind of what you have for the whole season. So it's nice to start that strong, and it makes me definitely excited for the rest of the year.
You have like a 90 race season. Is it too early at this point to say, okay, this is going to be a great year, like we are hitting on all cylinders, or can you base how the season's going to go on the first 5 races?
No, absolutely not. No, I think that you're excited with how we started, but like you said, it's a 10-month long, it's 90 races. We're not really into the meat of the season, the summer months, when really things, when Donnie really gets all of his wins and, the points really start to shift. So you always want to start strong. It's very important with the World of Outlaws to start strong. But the main thing is, to keep the momentum rolling and to, go into those summer months, as strong as you can. And in my opinion, Donnie's still the guy to beat. So until we get to the meat of the season, it's great that we're giving him a run for his money right now, but he's a veteran and he's never, besides last year, maybe really started out that strong ever. So, we understand all that, but, it does make me excited that we're so fast right now. And we actually ended last year really strong. And I have the same team with Lee Stauffer and he does a great job and it's really, elevated our team, I think, quite a bit. So we're excited, but it's still early.
In what ways has Lee, and Lee has had a lot of success across the board, a lot of success up in Pennsylvania, But I mean, but there's so many guys that have so much success and so many great resumes. In what ways has Lee helped your program, and really has he helped KKR across the board?
Yeah, I think he's obviously a great asset to have at any company. He's brought a ton of knowledge to KKR as a whole. For me, it was just he's brought a different outlook, I guess. For me, it's got me focused a lot more on just my driving, just giving him the right feedback. He takes a lot of pressure off of me. Where in past I've had great crew chiefs the last few years. Just we were both young and we were learning together, and a little bit more was on my shoulders, to get the car right, and the knowledge wasn't there that Lee had. So with Lee, I think we complement each other. I've always been pretty good with feedback and trying to figure out what the car needs, and he brings a ton of knowledge of he can watch a car, and obviously we complement each other, and we've been able to kind of get ourselves in a nice little box, and we've been doing good so far, so hopefully we can keep it going.
Yeah, and another member of your team is your teammate Darren Pittman. And what was that conversation like those two nights that you kind of got in there on the last lap and took the wins from him?
Yeah, it's always hard when you're racing your teammate like that for the win, but it's great that both of us are up there battling for the lead, and it's just sometimes in those situations it's not such a bad thing to be in second, with a couple laps to go with the way lap traffic plays out. And you see that quite often in sprint car racing where a late race lead change happens. But he's been good. There was never any hard feelings. A little bit at that last track we touched a little bit off 4, but it was just hard racing, and he understands. He would have done the same thing if he was in second, and I would probably be a little disappointed if he got me on the last lap too. It's just you can't help emotions, and those things happen. But like I said before, it's just cool that both of us are racing for the lead, and then he got the win the other night. So as long as we're keeping it all in the family, life's good.
No doubt, no doubt. We were on social media. I think I actually posted on social media that someone needs to go give Darren a hug on that second one, because it's just, but it's like you've got your job, he's got his job, and it's just, but it's got to be interesting and awkward at times, but amazing, to your point, that both cars are performing so well. Absolutely amazing out of the box. So we continue on, headed west, headed closer to your neck of the woods, where you're from this week. A couple of races in Las Vegas, one in Arizona. What's your expectations for this weekend?
Yeah, no, I'm really excited for this swing. Obviously these are all the tracks that I kind of grew up racing on, and being my third year with the Outlaws now, like kind of been to Vegas a number of times now, and kind of seen all these tracks, how they play out, and it's a little different in the spring out here. The tracks are definitely a little wetter normally, and it can be a little bit choppy, but our car seems to do pretty good, whether it's wet or slick right now. So we have a pretty good handle on things, I think, and I'm looking forward to just picking up where we left off, and as long as we're contending every night for top fives, and wins will come every now and then, I guess, as long as we put ourselves in good positions like we have been. So we're looking forward to it. We're excited. We're riding a high wave right now. We just have to keep it rolling. But like I said, the West Coast swing is one of my favorites. I get to be home. I know a lot of the other Outlaw guys cringe because it's a month and a half out here in California, but I like it, and I get to promote that race in Placerville. My buddy brother-in-law Kyle Larson's coming out, so we're excited for this whole month coming up.
Yeah, talk to us about Placerville. You got to kind of take your driver hat off and put your promoter hat on, and hopefully no tarps this year.
I refuse to put tarps on. I think that was just so much work last year, but no, it's exciting. I'm the promoter up until the day of the race, and then I have to put my driver hat on, and so that's why I have to have everything kind of lined up and going, and the Outlaws help out a lot with that, and I have a lot of great family and friends that help out with the race itself, and it's going to be cool to have Kyle and Owen and Caitlin there, and just everybody. It's a great little one-night event that seems to have a lot of excitement around it every year. So we're excited, but it's always a challenge promoting a race and racing it at the same time. So we'll see how it goes.
Is there one lesson when you look back, and it was about a year ago, and you actually announced the event on Wing Nation that you were going to do it, and it was maybe a little earlier, maybe January-ish or something, but is there one or two things that you learned as a track promoter, as a guy promoting a race that you're like, I never would have thought about that?
Yeah, there's actually a lot of stuff, but, really just what goes into it all, what to make one night work, from national anthem, trophy girls, trophies, ambulance, porta potties, the list goes on, concession stands, getting all the workers in place, selling the tickets. There's just so much that goes into one night of racing. And then, the whole aspect of you need the fans to show up to pay the purse, because a lot of people don't realize the risk behind holding an outlaw race. It's a huge risk. You could have not enough people show up, and you can end up, paying a ton of money out of your pocket. So, now I think when I roll into a racetrack, I always look at the crowd and kind of look at, okay, are they doing all right? Are they not doing all right? You never want any of these promoters to lose money. It's important for us to, be able to keep going to all these racetracks that we go to. So, I pay a little more attention to that. But, at the end of the day, I like to be on the racing side of things. It's fun to do one, but I wouldn't want to do any more than that for sure.
And did we hear right that there might be another event going on while you're out on the West Coast Swing this time?
Another event that I'm promoting?
Not a promoting, but definitely a major role in this event.
Oh.
This possible wedding bells.
Yeah.
What?
Oh yeah. Man, I don't know. We were talking racing there. You had me all spun out. But yeah, no, I'm planning a wedding too. So that's that's not easy. Me and my fiance Rachel she's doing mostly the wedding. I'm planning the race. So we'll see how the wedding turns out. But no, I'm excited about that. That's actually the Wednesday before my race. So I have a busy 10 days coming up here in a few weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, for sure.
Honeymooning in Placerville. Isn't that sweet, man? You are a heartbreaker. No wonder you find yourself. Yeah. You mentioned Caitlin and Owen and Kyle, of course, Kyle too, coming out. What's Uncle Brad like? Do you like hanging out? Do you like that uncle role?
Oh, I love it, man. Owen's he's the apple of my eye right now. I can't get enough of him. So he's, every time I get to see him, he just lights me up. And I was able to have him in Victory Lane in Florida, and that was awesome for me. But, I wish I get to see him more. I get to see him on TV more than I get to see him in real life sometimes. But, he's just he's been awesome to have and fun to play with. And he just gets more fun every time I see him. He's, figuring out race cars and making race car noises and running around. So it'll be fun to have him out here for a few weeks at the wedding and the race and all that stuff. So looking forward to that for sure.
Yeah, and from everything I've been told from your mom, he actually acts a lot like his Uncle Brad and has your personality. So that's got to be fun to watch.
Well, I remember joking when they got pregnant that, there was going to be a redheaded Asian. And, it was a joke at first, but it looks like we actually have a redheaded Asian. So.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. That is now that you mention that, because I see, Brad, I probably see Owen as much, if not more than you do now this time of year. And you're right. That is really, really cool. So neat what's going on with you, with your extended family, and of course with the upcoming wedding, and that racing thing's going pretty good as well. Brad, we're so happy for you. So cool. Thanks for the time today, and best of luck as we continue on throughout the season.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate you guys having me on, and we'll see you soon.
There we go. That is Brad Sweet, driver of the Razorback Tools Sage Fruit Car for KKR. And I just love seeing young men, because I was one at one time, but no longer. But I love seeing them develop with not only great careers. And, when we've watched Brad over on the NASCAR side and the Xfinity Series and the Truck Series. And then we see him just blossom and find a beautiful home here with the World of Outlaws. And then to see the other side of it, the family side of it, just really does my heart good to see, to good people, good things happening. It's really cool.
It is really cool. And How you in 10 days time promote a wedding?
Oh my gosh!
About plan a wedding,
promote a
race.
wedding. That a girl.
Oh god,
that's my girl right there. Promote a wedding.
If I ever get married, see, it's going to have to be the opposite.
Yeah.
Because I'll be working on promoting the race. He'll have to plan the wedding.
See that exactly.
I'll just meet him there on a Wednesday afternoon.
The wedding planner. Exactly. Wanted wedding planner. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Great stuff. Brad joins us courtesy of the Classic Ink. Screen printing and embroidery pole position. He great T-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, caps, towels, all kinds of great items. Drivers like Brian Brown, Donnie Schatz, Danny Dietrich, Danny Lasowski, Brady Bacon, and more. They all use Classic Ink, and you can find out more information at ClassicInkUSA.com. That's www.ClassicInkUSA.com. Let's talk a little Pennsylvania posse racing. When we return, Greg Hodnet joins us.
I'm Shane Stewart, and you're listening to Wing Nation on MotorRacingNetwork.com.
O'Reilly. If your vehicle isn't stopping like it used to, visit O'Reilly Auto Parts for the Spring Break Deals event. Take advantage of O'Reilly's Do It Right rebate and get a $20 O'Reilly gift card by mail when you buy a set of Brake Best Select pads and a pair of rotors. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Hi, I'm Jeff Gordon. Did you know that 43 children are diagnosed with cancer each and every day? That more children die from cancer than any other disease? Athletes of all ages are dedicating their stats to change these stats, and you can too. Visit JeffGordonChildren'sFoundation.org to become a Kick It champion. No matter what sport, you can use your points, laps, or goals to change the odds for kids with cancer. Make your stats really count. Become a Kick It champion.
Here comes the speed. Here comes the rumble. Here comes the crowds. Here comes the Auto Club 400 weekend, March 18th to 20th. 3 full days of intense NASCAR action.
3-car breakaway up at the front.
Plus live music, extreme stunt shows, and more. Here comes the vroom. For tickets and more information, visit AutoClubSpeedway.com or call 800-944-RACE.
This is Winged Nation. Back to Steve and Kendra.
Welcome back. It is MRN Wing Nation, presented by Hercules Tires, and let's go right back to the Hercules hotline. Joining us now from the great state of Pennsylvania, he drives the number 27 Hefner racing car, parked it in Victory Lane at Lincoln in the Icebreaker 30 on Sunday afternoon. Greg Hodnet's on the line. Hello, Greg. Welcome back to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me on, Steve. Kendra, it's good to be back.
Well, congratulations. I'm going to congratulate you on Lincoln, but honestly, Greg, very strong at Yuma, very strong at Volusia, strong with Lincoln, obviously scoring the win. How do you assess the start to your season so far?
I think it's been consistent. That's maybe the best way to describe it. Obviously, we were looking to get over the hump and sneak out a victory that we haven't been able to do so far. So that really helped as far as our confidence. But I think we've been okay everywhere we've been. We just haven't been quite good enough to get the job done. And, fortunately this weekend we finally did.
You're sounding a tick under the weather. Is that because you're wearing yourself out racing so much?
No, I wish that was it. No, I just caught a bug. Ryan, my crew chief, he had a cold for about the last 2 weeks, and unfortunately I think he just passed it on. So I wish it was just because we raced this much, but unfortunately it's just a bug that's going around.
Well, if there's a time to get it out of the system, do it early, because once you guys get started there in Pennsylvania, you don't get a break.
No, we really don't. So if it's going to happen, this would be a perfect time to do it, but hopefully I can kick it out here in a couple of days and get back to normal.
Be ready to go, that's for sure, as Lincoln continues on this week, and then it really picks up along the way. Greg, I actually want to go back to Yuma. You drove the 121 car at Yuma, but it was your car or the Hefner car. How did that deal come about? What was the story there on how that all came together?
Well, it was in the works since last February, to be quite honest with you. Joe Von Schultz, the owner from Fremont, California, contacted Brian Bumgarner through Wings Unlimited. We both use the same wings. And he had contacted him, and Brian was in Florida, and I asked, hey, would you guys be interested in doing something like this, putting something together to go out? And we just kind of kept working at it, and finally got something organized to be able to get one of our cars, our used cars, to Joe, and him just bring it to Arizona. And he bought a brand new motor from Ryder, which we use Ryder racing engines anyway. So basically, it's kind of the same stuff we've been using, and it just kind of worked out pretty effortlessly as far as for a transition to drive for someone else.
So when you got out there, basically car the same, engines the same, everything probably felt the same except for the team. So how did you deal with gelling with a new team and crew members out there?
Well, fortunately, I actually got to bring Ryan, my crew chief from here, with me. Mike kind of gave us our blessing to take a week off and go out there as far as for Ryan. So Ryan actually got to go with me, and we got to work with the famous Joey Batts. I don't know if you know Joey.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Joey's an experienced man. He's pretty awesome. So we got to work with Joey out there, and some guys that Joe had come across. So we got to work with a couple of different guys, but overall, Ryan and I obviously worked together for a couple of years, so it was literally a seamless transition, and I think it worked out for us because we were pretty consistent, like you alluded to, Steve, but we just couldn't quite get it done as far as getting a victory.
Funny story, I know of Joey Batts because of Kyle Larson's pets.
What?
They are named Batts and Joey. He promised Joey Batts that he would name his pets after him. So he's got Batts the cat and Joey the dog.
You must be a character if you're getting pets named after you.
Just saying, he's got to be a pretty cool guy.
That's cool.
Joey is a pretty cool guy. You guys would love him, I'll tell you what.
We need to get Joey on the show.
Yeah, get him on there.
You do. I'm telling you, you guys would have the #1 rated show in the world if you got Joey on.
All right, well, write it down, Krager.
Jot that down. Here we go. Joey Batts. That sounds really, really cool. Greg, when we look at your season, we talked about Yuma in Florida. I was thinking the hotel staying portion of your season is about over. I know you're probably going to Knoxville later on, but is it going to be about the same? Going to stick close to home and sleep in your own bed most of the year?
Yes, sir. I think that's our plan right now. We have a lot of racing here. I think Wayne Harper from Lincoln was explaining the Speedway Motors point system the other day, and he said there's an availability of one person running in Pennsylvania. I think it was 92 nights. And that's because obviously Lincoln and Port Royal run on the same day. But besides that, if you chose one or another, you could still run 92 nights. So there's plenty of racing here to do, and I think we're going to concentrate on trying to stay here and win as many races as we can, be competitive as we can, and like you said, try to go out to Knoxville and see what we can do out there, and maybe hit one or two other ones depending on kind of what's going on. If we can get to them and get back, and that's kind of our little niche in the sprint car world, and we're going to kind of stick to it.
So Greg, when you look at the season coming up, Steve and I were talking about Lincoln and the crowd that was there. What is the magic potion that creates a need for these race fans to be at the track, that when opening day comes out, they're standing there in line and basically impatiently waiting to get in there for the engines?
It was almost crazy. I don't know if you guys saw pictures or had any idea, but literally it was a capacity crowd standing remotely in the stands, in the infield. It was an amazing sight to see for the first race of the year. And the only thing I can credit to, we do have really good racing here, but we have immensely devoted fans. I mean, they are all about sprint car racing, and they're very knowledgeable. They're very passionate. So, it's kind of a double-edged sword a little bit, but in the big picture, they just love sprint car racing, and, we're very fortunate to have them.
No doubt, no doubt. Final question for you, and this is a Twitter question, and I'm going to tie a couple of things together here. Steve Patterson writes in, and under the category of the rich get richer, we've talked about Pennsylvania. We've talked about, over the course of time, Williams Grove, Lincoln, Port Royal, some changes at Selinsgrove, for the better, it looks like. I mean, and it's not been bad there, but it looks like things are really, really well. And actually, Greg, your team owner, Mike Hefner's involved, and changes at Susquehanna Speedway with Colton Gauss and what he's doing down there. Just your assessment, are you going to be able to get to Selinsgrove a little bit more possibly? And just your assessment on what's happening at Susquehanna as well.
I think we might get to Selinsgrove a few more times. They normally run 360s.
Yeah.
And at the moment, we actually don't have one. We sold ours at the end of the year last year, but Ryder's actually building us another one. So whenever it becomes available and the schedule dictates, we will go up there for a few races. I think there's a big 3-race weekend with Williamsgrove, Selinsgrove, and somewhere in New York that we're going to try to do that whole weekend in a 360. So I know there's some races that we're going to do. Up at Selinsgrove, but of course, I think they have a few more 410 races this year, which is really nice. So we're going to do those, of course, to support Mike and Alan and everybody involved with the Selinsgrove project. But as far as for the way that the Pennsylvania tracks are really stepping up, over the past years, one of the first things that ever happened was Williamsgrove put in lighting to accommodate TV.
Yeah.
So that was one of the first things that happened, and then Lincoln has steadily, if you were Lincoln 15 years ago to where it is now, you can steadily see improvements from the pits. They have macadam, blacktop. They call it macadam here, but blacktop all over the back pit area to where, like, literally it does away with 99% of the rainouts because there's no issues on getting people in and out as far as the haulers. And then Port Royal has really stepped up in the way they've done their racetrack and the facilities. They've really come a long way. Now you see Selinsgrove and Susquehanna, you alluded to earlier. I'm telling you, those guys are really doing a lot of work, from the grandstands, lighting, new track surface, new guardrails. It's really come to a point that if you were to ask me 15 years ago, what are these places going to be like, I would have no idea or even imagine what the improvements that have gone on would have happened. So it's quite a great thing for not only us as competitors, but I think the fan experience is a ton better.
Amazing and really interesting to get that perspective on it, the 15-year picture on it, because you're right, in talking with folks up there, it is certainly a different world. Well, Greg, first off, we hope you get feeling a little bit better, and we wish you the best this weekend at Lincoln and then throughout the season, but thanks for joining us here on Wing Nation.
Hey.
And with that,
and hopefully see you. Bye-bye.
Oh, yeah, we'll catch up with you. Yeah, we had a little pop of the cell phone there. So,
yeah. Oh, good.
But great. It's a great point. Looking at something from the 15-year airplane view is pretty amazing with what's going on up there. We've talked a lot about Port. That's been the last 3 years. But when you look at what the Grove has done and what Lincoln has done and some of the things that Greg has noticed over the course of time and what Colton is doing at Susquehanna, oh, my gosh. I mean, if the energy can go into opening night in the race season that they've put into the improvements there, amazing. At Selinsgrove, the same thing. It is a pretty cool time to be in Pennsylvania. And that leads us to our Jeff Gordon's Kick It Person of the Week. Now, Kendra, they have the coolest thing at Cumberland Valley High School. Mm-hmm. They have the CV Racing Club, a high school club for racing. Why didn't I think of this? I did every speech, every book report, everything on racing. Everyone rolled their eyes. It's like, oh, here we go again. I needed the CV Racing Club. So Cumberland Valley High School does the CV Racing Club, and our Jeff Gordon Kick It Person of the Week is Big Matt. Beer Hill Gang Matt.
Is he the hugger?
He's the hugger.
The
Beer Hill hugger. He went to the this kind of strikes me as something ironic about it. He went to the Cumberland Valley High School Club to talk about the Beer Hill Gang.
The kids are like, do you have any questions?
Samples.
Yeah, I have a lot of questions. How do we get to be a member?
Field trip.
And how much beer do we get?
Yeah, exactly. But
me love beer.
Exactly. And that's Matt for you. So this week, our Jeff Gordon's Kick It Person of the Week, we're going to give it to Big Matt, the Beer Hill Hugger Miller, for taking some time to go to a high school to share the gospel of sprint car racing. I know we cut up about the Beer Hill Gang, and I'm not sure how he danced around that in high school. with the club, but I'm glad he did, and that's really cool. This Cumberland Valley High School club is really, really neat, and it's just really cool what they've got going on. Another element of what's going on in Pennsylvania, and that is replenishing the stock, is what that's doing by going into high schools. That's replenishing the crowd. That really is. It's amazing.
Very cool.
Very cool. So Matt Miller, Big Matt, Beer Hill Hugger Matt is our Jeff Gordon's Person of the Week. Kick it, and, of course, the Jeff Gordon Foundation. We need to step away. When we come back, we are going to talk to Pat Sullivan, historian, longtime writer and announcer from Sprint Car and Midget Magazine. Can't wait to do that. We'll do that next.
Hi, I'm Dale Blaney, and you're listening to Wing Nation on MotorRacingNetwork.com.
Classic Ink USA Screen Printing and Embroidery is constantly testing the limits of custom racewear and specialized embroidery. Headquartered in Western Pennsylvania, Classic Ink holds the highest standard, maximizing your return as well as the ultimate customer satisfaction. From track swag fanwear to quick crew wear, Classic Ink has you covered. Their dedicated staff and designers will keep your race team and fans looking sharp. Contact Classic Ink today and get your team ahead of the competition. www.classicinkusa.com. That's Classic Ink at the track and on your back.
Racers, that's who Valco wheels are. That's who they know, and racing is what they know. Valco Wheels focuses oval track and grassroots racing, and understand racers need a quality wheel that fits your budget. With over 25 years experience, Valco Wheels produces the best product and give you face-to-face support and customer service at the track. Fast delivery, innovative products, problem solving. Find Valco Wheels at Valco.com on Twitter or Facebook, or call Valco Wheels at 609-758-7013. Valco Wheels.
2 big nights of racing every week at the all-new Jackson Motorplex in Jackson, Minnesota. 3 classes of sprint cars. The NSL 410, the GoMuddy.com NSL 360, and the Race Saver 305 sprint cars tackle the big half-mile Friday nights starting on May 13 with the Fulkin Brothers Spring Nationals. Be at the all-new Jackson Motorplex every Friday night this summer and mark your calendars now for the 38th running of the Jackson Nationals, September 2nd through 4th.
I'm Danny Holtgraver, now back to Wing Nation with Steve and Kendra.
Thank you, Danny. Welcome back. It is a great day. We are so glad you joined us here on MRN Wing Nation, presented by Hercules Tire, as we continue talking sprint car racing. And joining us now, you can catch his work each and every month in the great Sprint Car and Midget magazine and elsewhere along the way. Longtime announcer, historian, and all-around good guy, Pat Sullivan's on the line. Hello, Pat. Welcome to Wing Nation. Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
He's a quiet guy, too. We'll dial up Pat, and we'll see if we can catch up with him as we've lost the signal or something. It sounded like we had the signal.
Yeah.
It didn't sound like we had Pat. So we'll see what happens. That gives us a chance, though, to talk about the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame Expand the Dream project.
Did you see huge steps made this week?
Yes, progress. They had someone jump in, and it's like
They donated the demolition to the car wash. Is no longer.
So exciting what's going on. And you can follow along with all of this at SprintCarHof.com. SprintCarHof.com gives us a chance to talk about birthdays. Sunday was Mario Andretti and Joe Gertie's birthday. Today, Kendra, this is
gotta
royalty.
Be one of your favorites.
This is royalty where I'm from. Billy Pouch. Of course, I'm a modified guy, so Pouchy has more than 700 career wins. He was like dominating the modified world, and then in the mid-'90s said, "Guess what, gang? I'm going sprint car race." What? Huh? What?
Why wouldn't you decide that?
I understand that now, but at the time, it's like Pouchy come back, went with the Zemco team, huge success, really, really cool. And oh, by the way, Pouchy, 58 years old, 59, I think today. Still winning on a regular basis in the modifieds. So Billy Pouch birthday today. Dennis Duke Nalen's birthday is tomorrow. Thursday. Fred Raymer. So a beer for everybody. Fred Raymer and Rick Unger. Sunday, the birthday is Dick Sutcliffe. And all of those, you can find those great stories at SprintCarHof.com. The National Sprint Car Hall of Fame continuing with the Expand the Dream program.
And they
really,
need
really
more donations.
They still need more.
What the plans are for the Sprint Car Hall of Fame
incredible.
is amazing.
So go online, SprintCarHof, and what Bob's got going on out there is fantastic. Let's try this again. Joining us on the program from Sprint Car and Midget Magazine, Pat Sullivan. Hello, Pat.
Well, welcome, folks. I'm just delighted to be on, and boy, what a list of birthdays you just ran through, huh? Some real talent there.
It is amazing. It really is. And Pat, your story, Kendra and I were talking about this, and it's sad on our part. We read your stuff, but we don't know. How did you get involved in this, and how did you get started down this course of being a sprint car, Indy car, open wheel nut like you are?
It's pretty interesting. I'm a sports fan, and I always liked racing a little bit. It wasn't something that was a great passion of mine growing up. I was a hockey player, and I played baseball and things of that nature. And I was actually in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I was going to go to a minor league baseball game that was called off because of the heat. And so I decided to go to the fairgrounds in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and there was this tremendous race, and it involved two drivers that generated all sorts of emotion. One of them was a guy named Emmett Hahn, and the other guy was a guy named Ray Crawford, who was driving the Hillenburg 55 car. When one of those guys would go by, one half the crowd would stand up and cheer, and the other half would boo. And I thought it was the most spectacular thing I've ever seen. And now in my life, to know Emmett very well and to having known the Hillenburg family and the Crawford family, that's when it happened. Something just clicked, and from that point on, I just really couldn't get enough of it.
When you look back at the history of the sport and you think about that night hooked you, what are we either A, missing today, or B, what are we doing right?
Well, I think we're doing some things right. I mean, I've been the announcer at Bloomington Speedway for many years now, 22, 23 years, and other places. And, you know, for some reason we have a lot of young people there, and they're involved. But, you know, Indy car and sprint car and stock car racing are all part of the fabric of Indiana. So I think we have a built-in audience there. I think probably what we're doing right is we have some compelling people. Obviously, we look at the crossover now with the attention that Rico Abreu, Christopher Bell are going to generate is very good, and that may get people looking our way. The World of Outlaws are obviously spectacular when they come into town. I do think, however, probably in short track operations, given the attention spans of young people. I'm a college professor by trade. I've done this for a very long time. I can tell you that things are a little bit different. I don't think we could have 4- and 5-hour programs with multiple classes of cars and lots of downtime. We have to spend a lot of time really attending to the entertainment aspect of it. But it's still pretty vibrant. And can we get better? Yeah. Do we need a few less or more people that are younger and less that look like me? Probably so.
Yeah, indeed. But I do tend to agree with you, and I think the attention span argument is something that really the format of a well-run sprint car show seems to match up with the 2016 attention spans, in my opinion, Pat.
It will, and the key is well-paced and well-ran and quick in action. I mean, let's face it. I mean, it's exciting and it's an extreme sport. There's no question about that. And if we get people sort of hooked on that, they're probably there like me for the rest of their life. But people have to be entertained. There's just no doubt about that. So anything we can do to eliminate too much downtime and probably a little bit more that happens pre and post the event would certainly be important. I mean, in years past, I grew up in Kansas City, actually Kansas City, Kansas, and nearby Lakeside Speedway, at the time Lakeside Stadium. And if a race car went down US 40 on the back of an open trailer, we all saw it. We all knew that there was something going on, and there was a lot of innate promotion that way that got people's attention. We probably just need to work harder. I mean, my television, probably like yours, had 3 channels that we negotiated with rabbit ears. There's 150 high-definition channels on television right now. There's a lot of reason for people to stay home, and we want people not to stay home. We want them to get out.
Yeah. So what are you looking into this season? What are you most excited for? What are the key stories we should be watching for?
Well, I think there's a couple. I mean, you know, to me, I'm always interested in what happens with drivers who have the opportunity to move forward. So, you know, I've known Tony Stewart since he was just a kid, and obviously when I would turn on a NASCAR race, I was very interested in to see how people like Tony and Casey Kane, Ryan Newman, etc. And now that's another group of people that should work both ways. That should bring interest to the super speedways and interest to the short track. In the USAC era, Robert Ballou had a completely phenomenal year, obviously, last year. Somewhat unexpected, but Dave Darland, the ancient Mariner, if it is, continues to hang in there, and we're always interested in him. Can somebody have anything for Donnie Schatz on the World of Outlaw trail? What's going to happen with the NSL, I think, is interesting. And obviously Tony's involvement with the All-Stars, which, Kendra, you know this very well with your family. I remember when the All-Stars were a really, really, really big deal. I mean, it was such a great series in the days of the Fred Linders, the Kevin Huntleys, the Frankie Kerrs, and then obviously your family. And I think we're interested in to see what the continued growth is there, because it was a great series, and I think we're all happy that Tony's sort of behind it.
Yeah, for
no
sure.
doubt. Really, really cool. Hey, before we let you go here, Pat, Sprint Car and Midget Magazine, what are you working on for the next issue?
Well, I just completed a USAC preview article, which is in the can right now. Interestingly enough, I have a story in the can that might interest a lot of people, and that is that I have a story on the brief history of the United States Auto Club when they had wing sprint car races. A lot of people forget that in the 1980s, USAC sanctioned wing sprint car racing, and the likes of a Danny Lasowski and a Brad Doty, et cetera, were part of that series. Rick Unger, you just mentioned a birthday come up, won the very first USAC winged race ever held, and that was held at the Eldora Speedway, so that's going to be in the magazine soon.
Wow. Yeah, and I don't want you to give it away, but why did they stop?
I don't know. Why they started was pretty clear. I mean, to me, the number of dates had gone down, and wings had become very exciting, and they were having a hard time selling that product to some promoters, and they gave them an option. I don't know if they felt that they couldn't compete, or perhaps they just simply wanted to do something different. I think a lot of people thought maybe the traditional sprint car racing was dead. It's made a remarkable resurgence. USAC has 47 dates on the card this year. But I don't know exactly why at some point they absolutely just decided to go away from it. And frankly, I did an interview with Dick Jordan, the United States Auto Club, who's the longest-standing employee, and I don't think he knows. But it's a forgotten part of the USAC history, and that will be coming up.
Not forgotten after we read that, that's for sure. Pat, we appreciate the time. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for all your good work. We appreciate it.
Wow, that is Pat Sullivan, Sprint Car and Midget Magazine. Of course, you need to make sure you get this so it shows up in your home all the time. You can just Google it, Sprint Car and Midget Magazine, catch up with Pat's work, our buddy Brad Doty's work. Oh, my gosh, that magazine, that is a cover-to-cover read every time it shows up in the mailbox. We need to step away. Upcoming races and a whole lot more as we continue on Wing Nation.
This is Winged Nation on MRN.com. Steve and Kendra will be right back.
The 25th year of the Lucas Oil American Sprint Car Series is about to begin.
Expanded national and regional tours, over 150 events across the United States, and some of sprint car racing's biggest names and rising stars.
The 25th anniversary of the Lucas Oil ASCS is one you don't want to miss. Find out when the American Sprint Car Series is near you in 2016 at ASCSRacing.com. Find us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter,
and catch all the action away from the track live at RacingBoys.com.
O'Reilly. Get more mileage from your tax refund at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Visit O'ReillyAuto.com for a tax refund offer for up to $40 off a qualifying ship-to-home order. Spend a little of your tax refund on your vehicle now and avoid costly repairs later. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Online ship-to-home orders only. See website for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
The National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum in Knoxville, Iowa.
Honoring sprint car racing's greatest achievers.
25 historic sprint cars on display. A movie theater featuring sprint car racing films. And a breathtaking view of historic Knoxville Raceway. Go to SprintCarStuff.com for the largest sprint car gift shop on the planet. The National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum in Knoxville, Iowa.
Back to Winged Nation. Here's Steve and Kendra.
We are having a great time, and we are so glad you joined us. Kendra, the countdown is on for the Lucas Oil ASCS National Tour. Not this coming weekend, but next weekend, they kick off their season, $60,000 championship, $250,000 point fund, $60,000 to the champion, and 20 races on MAV TV. I know we have Aaron Reitzel coming up this weekend on Wing Nation, presented by Sage Fruit on MAV TV. He's all fired up about it, and we are too. It's going to be a great year for Lucas Oil ASCS National
And really
Tour.
interesting stuff from Aaron. That's way off the beaten path.
Absolutely.
But good stuff.
Great young man, no doubt about it. When we look at this weekend, World of Outlaw Sprint Cars, Craftsman Sprint Cars, Thursday and Friday in Las Vegas, Saturday at Arizona Speedway in Queen Creek, Arizona, Central Pennsylvania, Lincoln Speedway on Saturday night, and Silver Dollar Speedway in Chico, California, the season opener with 360 sprints on board with that. And that'll give us a chance to remind you that coming up on Wing Nation Weekend presented by Hefner Racing Products, that's our podcast that kicks off this week. Aaron Forsberg joins us there as well. And we are the warm-up band because at the top of the hour, Slinging Dirt with the Strummies, Keeping Up with the Strummies is right here on MRN.com. One other thing I want to mention, and I shared a little bit about our conversation, Doug Johnson with Jackson Motorplex up in Jackson, Minnesota, and they continue to rebuild this place into what is going to be a mecca of motorsports. But one of the things they have planned, and I got thinking about it, I think I talked about this last week, is they're going to do 3 divisions of sprint cars on Friday nights. And I got thinking about this. I'm like, when you think of sprint car racing is one of those unique sports, and we have our great Saturday tracks like Knoxville, but when you think of sprint cars, you don't have to go too far down the pecking order to think of great Friday night tracks. Williams Grove, Attica in Ohio, Silver Dollar Speedway in Chico is a predominant Friday night track as well. And when you think about it, there's nothing in the Midwest, and I think that's what's going to be neat about this. We know there's a lot of questions in the Midwest about what's going on with everything, but we know where Friday night stands and what they're doing up there, what they're doing with their 3 sprint cars, a lot of 410 races on Friday night. You know, Friday night is sprint car night in a lot of places in the country, and a lot of really good tracks are on Friday nights. So it's amazing to me. It really strikes me as interesting because in most cases you think of Friday night as the down night or the preliminary night. But in sprint car racing, there's some regions of the country where Friday nights
are really big. And if you have multiple tracks, you kind of play that balance of who races on Friday, who races on Saturday and Sunday, because you want to balance everything out and give teams a lot of places to choose from, but also give them ways to make money. And if you have a schedule that all works together, like Jackson and Knoxville are doing Fridays and Saturdays, it's really helpful for all the teams in that area. It
really does, because the Friday advantage is you're not competing with a bunch of other tracks, and you can draw, it's like Williams Grove. They draw the best from Port, the best from Lincoln, and they have this all-star type show every Friday night. Attica the same way. I mean, if you're a top flight sprint car racer in Ohio that's not doing the All-Star Tour, we get the All-Star Tour is different, but if you're a top flight guy, you're running Attica on Friday nights.
Yeah, and you think about it, so you're a fan, right? And you're at work all day, and you're already dying for the weekend, right? It's Friday. Your mind, by noon, you're mentally checked out. When you know that night you get to pack up the cooler and go out and hang out with your buddies, it's like a built-in bar and fun time and entertainment while it's all going on
Friday
for
night.
Really reasonable ticket prices.
Yep, absolutely. So really cool, and just anxious to see what happens up at Jackson Motorplex as they get closer and closer to that opening date, which is on May 13th. Getting back to the schedule, of course, we've got World of Outlaws in Vegas and in Arizona as they continue to move further.
And I think that Arizona is a new track on the schedule this year, which is always great to have a new place.
And it's always fun when they get down. They've moved the Vegas back. It used to be Wednesday, Thursday. Now it's Thursday, Friday. So it's going to be fun to follow along on social media to see who shows up out there.
All of these NASCAR buddies of mine are like, hey, a lot of it's, how do I get in? I was like, you pay at the window.
Yes, there's a ticket office there, and they take cash, green cash money.
They take cash. Does my hard card work? No, sir.
No, your hard card doesn't work there. No, we're not going to give this to you.
And now that I'm a promoter, I'm like, oh, no, you go to the window and you pay.
Go to the window. That's
like,
right, exactly.
There are no freebies for anyone anymore.
Things are changing in the world of Kendra. I'll see what I can do. No, I won't see what I can do.
Steve,
see what you can do.
Yeah, you and Craig, I forgot to tell you guys, you're cut off at Knoxville. You got to go to the window and pay out.
Yes, but do you still have the pork tenderloin stands?
It will still be there. Yeah, the pork tenderloin, the Hawaiian chicken, some barbecue, maybe an ice cream stand this year.
The cattleman stand?
Cattleman's still there.
Okay.
We're good. The food area is covered.
Okay, charge us what you need to do. Put it on Craig's account. We'll be good to go. That's for sure. How about that? I got Craig
and
in
some
on that.
cold Budweisers. You guys are good. You're covered.
Absolutely. Yes. We big thanks to Brad Sweet, to Greg Hodnet, to Pat Sullivan for joining us here on MRN Wing Nation presented by Hercules Tires. But more important than all of that, thank you for joining us here this week.
You've been listening to the nation's premier winged sprint car radio program, Winged Nation. Tune in next Tuesday at noon for more talk from the dirt tracks. Winged Nation is also available on demand in the MRN.com Media Center or download from iTunes or Stitcher. Winged Nation is a production of the Motor Racing Network. All rights reserved.